Welcome to the Change Book Podcast. My name is Rachel Best, and this is our co-host.
I'm Nicole Harvick.
And this is the Change Book Series. It is the fastest growing self-empowerment book series on the planet.
This spans over 30 countries, and we now bring them all together in a powerful podcast destined to change people from all corners of the globe.
So go ahead and grab your pen and paper because our guest today is going to share a lot of amazing tips and inspiration that you're definitely going to want to write down. Good afternoon, everyone. So today we do have a special guest. His name is Shawn Feurer, and he is a co-author in the Change Book series. And so Nicole and I have the pleasure to introduce him and let him share some of his story and also share some nuggets of information that have helped him overcome some obstacles in his life. So Shawn, go ahead and share with us who you are.
All right. Thank you so much. And first off, thanks for having me, Rachel and Nicole. It's such a pleasure to be on this podcast with such powerful, amazing people. And, you know, the Change community, honestly, both gyms that have put this together, having Les Brown kind of partner with us on it. It's just such a really amazing project. And the stories that are in there, you know, I'm going to share today more about my story, but I just love, think about the word change. Human beings, we all resist and fight change. But the one thing in life that is constant is change. And I think learning to embrace it and learn from stories, you know, and I've had quite a few challenges, right? I wouldn't say I've had hard things because I don't like to make things hard. I don't like to make them easy with the power of my mind. But yeah, embracing the change and really sharing messages of positivity is, I think, what all of us that are drawn to this book are about. So very excited to be here today.
Wonderful. And I saw that you're a mindset coach. And I always like to hear an explanation of that because it seems like everyone that is that kind of coach has a little bit different take on it. Could you tell us your spin on that?
Yeah. So, and to give you just a little bit of a background on it, I didn't start even in the coaching space. I started in the contracting space. I was a business owner. Me and my dad had a home improvement company here in Salt Lake City. And I'd worked with a training organization for a lot of years as a client. And then, you know, part of my story in the change is I made a transition to working for this company and I became a business coach. And it's interesting because I spent 5 years training hundreds of sales professionals, business owners all over the United States and Canada on business process. But what I found was I could take 5 individuals from a company, bring them to our headquarters, put them through an intense 5-day training and teach them a process, have them go back. All 5 individuals wouldn't perform the same. The process is the same every time if they're using the sales process. But say out of the 5 individuals, 2 or 3 would do pretty good, 1 would be a rock star, and 1 might actually get fired. So it took me on this journey of what's going on? These people are paying all this money for training and they're trying to implement it, but it's not working the way it's intended. And so I actually left that organization, started my own company, and my naive thought was, I'll just spend more time with individuals and hammer the information into them, and I can get them to do it better, right? Well, I tried that for about 8 months and it wasn't working. It just wasn't working. And so I went on a search. And it's so interesting. And Nicole, you do a lot of energy work and I kind of followed the energy, but I was looking for tools to help my clients. And along the way, I found an amazing tool that not only helped my clients, but it changed my life. And that's what drew me into the mindset world. And the gentleman, I've got lots of mentors in this type of work, but Bob Proctor, I ended up on a webinar at 3 a.m. I woke up from a deep slumber. I believe in the angel hour. I'm like, okay, I've been asking for this message. What is it? What is it? And to this day, I have screenshots on my phone. I don't know how I got on that webinar. Like I don't typically get on the computer in the middle of the night, but somehow I ended up watching this webinar and Bob talked about mindset and understanding ourselves and gave some examples. In fact, I've got that little stick figure up there. That's something he talks about a lot. And it's a diagram we use. And it's a really long answer to your question, but this is how I got here. I just started diving in and all of a sudden, instead of teaching process to my clients, I started teaching how their mind worked. And I started seeing better results almost immediately. And then the other cool thing is to be certified to teach Bob's program. I had to get certified and they say, become a product of the product. If you're going to teach it, you have to know it. And so I dove in. I was like, you know what? I've been looking for this and I'd gone through a bunch of major life changes, which my chapter in the book talk about, I went all in and I haven't looked back. I call myself a reformed business coach turned mindset mentor because business process without the right belief doesn't work the way it's intended. So that's been my journey. One other cool thing I'd love to just share is you see on the screen here my title, the Universal Mindset Disruptor. Wonder if you're curious, how does that come about? It's kind of a unique name, right?
Very.
And we have lots of mindset coaches and mindset mentors in the industry. And I was trying to do some differentiation from the marketing side. And I worked with a gentleman and he said, you need an expert title. You need something that sets you apart. And so we did a lot of work and he had a whole process you go through and we came up with this title. And it's interesting because when he first gave me the title, I didn't love it. In fact, I didn't not only not love it, I didn't believe it. And I felt funny saying it. But I did the same type of work with this title that I do with my clients and trying to get belief. I just started affirming it. One of my affirmations every day is I am the universal mindset disruptor. And the more I do that, the more I believe. And I just want to share, because this is a funny story. I had a gentleman who runs a contractor event that I used to speak at, and he called me up and said, hey, Shawn, we want you to come back. You just sent me your bio. I want to ask you about something. He goes, what's this title? And he actually was making fun of it a little bit. And it was pretty cool conversation because I literally said, how about this? Because he basically said he couldn't introduce me as the universal mindset disruptor. He would laugh. And I said, how about we do this? How about you introduce me as that and you laugh? And then I'll get up on the stage and I'll tell them why you're laughing and I'm not. Because you don't believe it and I do. And because I do, I create it. And I can't tell you how many calls I get done and hear the words from my clients. Shawn, thanks so much for disrupting my thoughts. I was stuck in my head and you really helped me disrupt that and change it and get to a better place. So just another example of, a title and thinking differently about yourself creates a whole different world of opportunity around you.
That's amazing. Rachel, don't you think that almost sounds like a superhero title, that like he should be wearing a cape or something when he shows up?
You have to put that in your next talk, right?
Well, no, I actually try and embody that, and it's funny because, as you go out there in the world, there are people I look up to that are on big stages that are superheroes to me, right? And I could put myself way below them, but as I say that title and I create that energy, I see myself, up there. Bob Proctor passed away and I only got to spend some time in person with him because it was right before COVID, the last live event he had, but I've spent time with Jack Canfield. In fact, I'm actually co-facilitating an event with Jack Canfield this fall in Santa Barbara, something I used to only dream of. So I do love that you said that because I am trying to create my mantra and my superhero of I'm the universal mindset disruptor. I help people break free. I'm a chain breaker. I'm a freedom maker. And the more I lean into that, the more it actually happens. It's pretty cool.
I love that you just said that because that's something that I'm so big on too, is like what our thoughts become our feelings, become our behaviors, become our actions, become our results. So the more that whatever we think about, we bring about, right? So whatever we think about, we talk about, we bring about, we walk into reality. So I love that you said that. That's been a dream of yours, and now you are going to, because you've thought it so many times, you've already been there, right? In your head, you've already been there, and so now when you go, you're like, oh, like this is everything that I, maybe even more than what you expected, right?
Yes, and it's been happening. I mean, I wrote myself a letter, and part of my change story is a story of transformation, right? 2014, I was going through some major changes. At the end of a 20-year career with my family business, my 20-year marriage was coming to an end. I didn't know it at the time. I was still putting effort into it. My mom had been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. My dad was suffering from strokes, trying to take care of her. So I was about ready to go through some major changes. And one tool I'll share is there's this process called the life script where you literally write yourself a letter, present tense, how you want your life to be. And I could tell you, this letter I wrote, I described my health and wellness. I wasn't very healthy and well. I was sick. I was on prescriptions for indigestion, but I wrote my perfect health. I wrote my perfect relationship. I was 2 years from divorce, and I wrote very general that I was in a perfect relationship, that I was loved and supported. I wrote about my work, which is interesting. I described the program that I found with Bob 4 years before I found it, to a T, the words I use in that. So yeah, everything that I put in there is literally coming about. And it's been fun because, in the world of mindset and personal development, we hear these stories and sometimes you're like, that guy's full of crap, right? That doesn't sound real, or that lady's full of crap. Like, that can't work that well. And I'm literally living proof that you write it down, you hold it in your mind, and you don't have to look at it every day. Like, just the process of starting and making the decision puts you in that direction. And yeah, I mean, I'm, just to share a few wins, and I'm sharing this not to brag or boast, but to inspire people. I turned 50 this year in May. I look 10 years younger today than I did when I wrote the letter in 2014. In fact, if you go to my social media, you can see a cool video that shows the old me versus the current me, and it's crazy. But happy, healthy, whole. I have a strong body, 0 prescriptions. I got engaged to love my life. We're getting married New Year's Eve this year at a good friend of mine's house on the Pacific Ocean. That alone is like a dream to me. I bought, my dad, who passed away, loved Corvettes, and me and him had a connection. I was able to take museum delivery of a 2023 C8 Corvette last year. Just less than a month ago, I closed on this beautiful $1 million home here in Draper, Utah, that I'm living in. I mean, everything that was in that letter. In fact, the same time I bought the house, I was able to go in partners with a good friend of mine in Southern Utah on a wakeboard boat that was in my letter. Didn't cost me anything out of pocket. And I just spent last weekend surfing on this boat. I mean, literally, you look around and it's all on the outside. And it's not about the stuff, right? I'm not a materialistic person, but I'm about energy. And I've created in my life beautiful relationships, beautiful health and wellness, and beautiful finances. And I've done it all using the power of change and the power of my mindset, 100%.
And you know what I think some people forget, Shawn, is that you talk about thinking about it and the manifesting, but you also have to take action. And by writing it down is your first step of action. And then once it's written down, those words become real to the universe. So you've got it on paper, you're thinking about it, and boom, you're doing it.
Yes. And the law of attraction ends in action. I mean, to me, that's the number one thing, is we have to take action. But this is something too, and for listeners, and I don't know about you guys, but I used to get caught up with this a lot. And this is something Bob Proctor helped me with a lot. We want to take action, but we don't have to know how. Mm-hmm. And I think for most people, like when you're trying to decide, what do you really want? And let's think of a worthy goal that's bigger than anything you've ever thought before. Most people can't even do that, because as they're trying to think that thought, they're going to how it's possible. And they start going to time and money restraints and self-limiting personal belief restraints. And so that's the other thing too, is for me to create everything that I've just shared with you guys, I had to forget about the how. I've built construction companies. I've built sales organizations. I've never built a mindset coaching program, right? I've never built the type of company. And the first 6 months of becoming a consultant and shifting from process to mindset, I kind of spun out on the how. How am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? And I said, you know what? Listen to Bob. Listen to Bob. He's successful. He's happy. He's healthy. He's got friends all over the world. Just listen to him and let go of the how. And honestly, the how just keeps re-showing up in different ways. And I'm always taking action. I'm never just sitting around. But the how is shifting. The purpose, the goal, what I've decided, that doesn't change. That doesn't change. Like, I want to affect millions of people worldwide and removing self-limiting belief so they can live their lives in true freedom, abundance, joy, and love. And I say that to myself every single day, not worrying about how it's going to happen, just knowing. I mean, even Rachel, you reached out to me and saying, hey, do you want to be on this podcast? That's a hell yes for me, right? I want to get the word out that, change is possible. And there's lots of good people. I'm one of them. You're one of them. You're one of them. There's lots of good resources, good, honest, integrous people that will help you on the path. And so if you're looking for help, it's right in front of you most of the time. You just have to be willing to ask for it and listen, right?
Absolutely. And that's what I was told. We are so conditioned to have a control on every aspect of our life. And this is unseen and really unfelt right now. You start feeling it in your mind, and they said, get out of the way. Just get out of the way. Okay.
Yeah. Well, because control is an illusion. I don't control anything. And Rachel, you said it best, actually. I control my thoughts, which create my beliefs, which create my habits, which create my act. That's all I control. And so if I let go, I'd love to control the weather. I can't. I'd love to control the economy. I can't. I'd love to control people I love and care about showing up for me the way I want them to. I can't. So all I get to do is take 100% accountability and control over me. And oh my gosh, that's so much easier. So much less frustrating. I mean, yeah, I'm still a pain in my own ass sometimes, and I still get frustrated with myself, but it's a lot easier to get on myself than it is other people. And it's a lot easier for me to hold myself accountable than it is to try and shame or blame somebody else for not showing up the way I thought they should. Right? It's crazy the difference that it creates in your life.
Yeah. Sometimes we're uncontrollable, right? But it is a lot easier to control us than we can take responsibility, control us, and then it makes life go a little bit easier. So that's so good. I love everything that you just shared. I just love how you wrote your I ams, and you wrote a letter of your perfect, like, what is it that you want? And we don't have to, like, the big audacious goal, right? The big old, I think it's Bob Proctor that does the ABC goals, right?
Yes. And I have A goal you've already done. B goal you already know how to do. C goal you have no freaking idea, and it excites you and it scares the shit out of you at the same time, and you don't know how. And that's what you go for. Yeah, I literally spend my days trying to inspire people to go for that. And as I've tried to inspire others, I've gone for it myself. I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to end up on the stages that I'm going to end up or in front of the people, but I'm going to. And I'm going to because I believe it's possible, and I don't care how it happens. I just know it's being done.
Yes.
Just sitting there waiting for that call.
It's interesting. I mean, I want to talk about the Secret movie again because it's fascinating to me. In 2006, I was still in the construction industry here in Salt Lake City. 2006 was a boom year that set up for the Great Recession in 07, 08, right? Mm-hmm. But the Secret movie came out. And I'd always been a Jack Canfield fan, but I'd never really seen Bob. And I remember watching that movie, and I was enthralled. In fact, I ordered DVDs and used to have them in a backpack that I would literally pass out to people. Like, you want to change your life? Listen to this. Well, come full circle all these years later, I've spent time now with Bob Proctor. I've spent time with Jack Canfield. Bob Proctor ended up being on The Secret. One, not being paid. Two, he'd ignored a bunch of voicemails and almost missed the interview period. But then just randomly, by the universe, by synchronicity, was at the hotel across the street from where they recorded it doing a seminar. He walked across the street. He took an elevator up. He recorded for about 60 minutes. He didn't charge anything. Nobody got paid for The Secret originally. He went back, and as it went viral, and his son, Brian Proctor, who I've got a chance to meet and become friends with, just released a book, Growing Up with Bob Proctor. My dad knew The Secret. He tells this story, and his dad wasn't surprised by the fame. His dad was waiting for it. His dad had held it in his mind for so long, and he didn't know the how. He'd been doing all these seminars on his own, and then Rhonda Bynes puts together this creative thing, and it takes him viral, and that puts him on the map. Jack Canfield, same story. Jack hears about it, gets invited, records. I'm good friends with Jack's president of the Canfield organization, Patty Aubrey, and Patty says she went to the premiere, didn't even know what it was. It started going. She knew immediately it was going viral. And looked at Jack and said, how much did you get paid for this? And he's like, nothing. And she's like, what in the hell did you do? And she ran out to do some research on publishing rights. But it's really cool because, long story short, both of those men did it without expectation of compensation and took them all over the place. So yes, I'm waiting for my secret moment. I'm waiting for that one interview, that one place, because I've done the work on the inside, and I've had the life challenges and experience that have prepared me for it, that when it does happen, I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to be anxious. I want to be excited and ready to go. Let's go change more lives. Let's go help more people experience the change that I've been able to experience in this lifetime.
And sometimes I think the universe waits for you to be a little bit humble with yourself, to where you're going to be able to handle correctly everything that is given to you, because it can go really well or it can turn really bad. And I see you as someone that's waiting for that moment, because you have learned how to use it, how to love yourself, how to control everything. I mean, it's your timing is impeccable.
And it's so funny because there were nights I prayed to my God and said, why me? Like, why, watching my mom die from early onset Alzheimer's, going through divorce, living in their basement, being pretty much broke, having made all these things. And I'm like, why me? Why now? And I love that you said forgiveness, because I've spent a lot of time forgiving myself for decisions I made that put me in that position. And right behind forgiveness is gratitude. Like, literally in every one of those moments, being grateful that, yeah, this sucks right now, and yeah, I don't want to be here, but I'm grateful I'm able to be here. And it has, I'm not one that goes into like, oh my gosh, I was such a victim in these things. I was a victor, but I did have a lot of things handled to me at once. And Nicole, they happened to humble me. They happened to get my ego out of the way. They happened to make sure, another law I love is the law of contrast.
Yeah.
When you've been really lonely, you really appreciate people. When you've been really broke, you really appreciate having some money in your pocket. When you've been really sick, you just love waking up in a happy, healthy body. And so I went through a lot of these negative contrasts so that now on this side, I can fully appreciate it. And like you said, be humble about it, right? I don't come in cocky or arrogant. I come in confident because I know what I'm teaching and talking about works. But I also know if I'm working with you and you're going through a challenge, I know what that feels like. And
Yes.
our subconscious mind, when it puts up a block, it's like a brick wall. Like it's a physical, like if you're asking somebody to do something that goes against what they internally believe is possible for them, they literally run into an internal brick wall that feels like somebody's punched them in the gut. And I felt that, and I know what that feels like. And so I'm very empathetic as I have them start to just softly punch it, right? Let's just start knocking it a little bit because eventually we got to knock it down. Yeah, but it's going to fight back. It's programmed to keep us safe and efficient. It's going to fight back.
I have a question for you. I wake up like 99% of the time, and I think to myself, gosh, I wish everybody could wake up like this, in such love, in such gratitude, in such reverence for everything that I'm coming into, and has been given to me. And it's just such a feeling. It's actually a humbling feeling to feel that way. Do you feel that way also?
It's interesting. I was just talking this on some coaching calls with my groups this week. A lot of the time I feel that way, but sometimes I don't. And this is something I want to share with listeners too, and this is my explanation of it, but when I'm pushing against my self-limiting beliefs, 95% of my day is controlled by those beliefs, right? We're only 5% in our conscious mind at any point during the day trying to make better decisions. And when you go to sleep at night, the subconscious tries to keep you safe, tries to keep you efficient. And so anytime we're really outside of our comfort zone, which for me, going to my worthy goal, I'm actually pushing that constantly. And so it does create those mornings where I wake up. In fact, my fiance will tease me sometimes that I wake up, we're in financial crisis because of something I heard on the news, and it takes me back to 2008 when I did experience financial crisis, right? And that's an old program that runs. So yeah, I do experience what you're talking about, Nicole, where I wake up in just gratitude and humility, but also I do wake up frustrated. And that's one thing, me as an authentic mindset mentor and coach of people, it's not perfect, right? When you're doing work with the subconscious mind, nobody fully understands it. We can't take pictures of it. We can't see. The mind resides in the whole body. And so sometimes it does do wacky stuff. And I think for me, it's just helpful knowing that that's part of the process. If I'm pushing against it, it's going to push back. And sometimes even when I should wake up feeling like you described, like me right now, I'm in this beautiful home. My business is growing. I still wake up uncomfortable, and I have to check myself and say, okay, this is my mind taking over the night. And what's it uncomfortable with right now? Because it's literally pushing me a direction, and it just reminds me to go back to my gratitude, go back to my affirmations. And maybe it's trying to help keep me humble too, Nicole. Like, you think you got to knock, Shawn, you don't. You're still learning. You're still growing, right? As we are every day.
Absolutely. And there's always something to learn. You can, at any given moment, you think that you've healed everything in your body. And there's that one moment that you have a trigger, which happened to me about 2 weeks ago. I was like, man, I never saw that coming, but we have to deal with so much internal that we're not even aware of. And so when you think you're doing so well, you pat yourself on the back, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, dang, I remember that now. And you go back to where, it came from and forgive it. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny you say that, because I did, a few weeks ago, part of buying this home, and some of the process reminded me some things from back in 2008. And for me, it was from 2008 to 2014. I tried to hold on to a house that was backwards, severely backwards, with a business that was downsized because of the economy. And so I moved into this new home, and something little happened, like you say. And once it triggers your subconscious, it's hard to kick out of it. Like literally, you're seeing red. If you're mad, you're seeing fuzzy. You're not able to make decisions. It's almost like when you're sick and your body takes resources to fight or flight. It's what happens when an old trigger, and you literally go into dummy mode, I call it. Like, they're not making any big decisions today because I'm obviously dealing with something from the past that isn't true today and isn't even mine.
I have to go lay down.
Yes.
I have to breathe.
Yes. And in those moments too, and that's what the cool thing I think about understanding your mind is, what do? Breathe. Like taking breath can get you out of an anxious moment. Going outside in Mother Nature and high vibration, God's beautiful world, putting our feet on the grass and grounding, exercise. I'm a big fan of yoga, affirmations, gratitude. We have so many tools that, and I don't know about you guys, but when I first found this material and really started taking a deep dive, my first emotion was anger. Like, why didn't I come with an instruction manual? Like, what? And everybody says the Bible and church. Well, yeah, but they don't present it to you in such a manner that this is how my human mind works. And I spent 40 years of my life working against it, not understanding it, and now having the tools. It's like sometimes it's just go outside and look at the sun and feel gratitude for a minute, and it totally shifts your energy. And I go back in and I do good work. And in the past, I would have spent 8 hours spinning my wheels doing crappy work because I couldn't power through it because I was taught as a young child, work harder, Shawn, work harder, put your nose to the grindstone. Yeah. So fascinating, all of it.
Yeah, it is. And my teacher reminded me this the other day. We're like onions. So we're always just peeling back the part of the onion. And then, like you said, Nicole, you have a trigger. And, I find it interesting, Shawn, that you said anger is the first thing. And because, anger is the number one negative emotion. And so there's, those 5 main negative emotions that we go through: anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt. So that's the order that we naturally flow in. And so I love that you brought that up, because to create that awareness for people is huge, to let them know that it's okay to be angry, and it's okay to go through these steps to of these feelings. It's okay to have these feelings. You were created to have these feelings. And so
yes.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, and you get to feel them, and then you get to choose a better one too. I mean, that's the thing too. When we talk about emotions, I like to oversimplify that. As human beings, in my opinion, we only feel 2 emotions. One is positive and one is negative. And the negative one can be in all these different levels of fear, anxiety, jealousy, hatred, frustration, right? And on the positive side, we have joy, love, gratitude. And so every moment I get to feel the negative, but then, and this is using the law of polarity and assumption, if we want to go a little deep, I can just create the opposite inside myself. I feel it. I give it whatever credit it's asking from me. Shawn, do you feel this? Yeah, I feel this. Do you like it? No, I don't like it. What do you want to feel? I'm going to go to gratitude right now because I don't like this. I want to feel it. I want to process it. But then I want to shift it back to a positive emotion. And that's for me. I have a mantra. In fact, I have a podcast called Enjoy the Ride, the Movement. And it all started when my mom was passing away. And I was how do you enjoy the ride when someone you love and care about, 63 years old, perfectly healthy, other than her mind is leaving? And I had to create patterns and habits inside of me. Some days the best I could do was like a McDonald's Oreo McFlurry. That was like, oh, that feels good today. I'm so happy I can go have this moment with this ice cream. Or some days she didn't recognize my dad. She recognizes me and I'm there and I can help out. And really just finding moment to moment. Yes, I'm feeling the negative of it, but I can't live in that. Because that will take me down over time, right? And so I feel it, I embrace it, and then I shift it to what's the best. And a lot of times for me, gratitude is the bridge to get me to a better feeling, even just for a moment.
That's powerful. That's very powerful. Yeah. And we do have that ability within us, to shift any which way we want to go. Too many people pick the negative. And for me, it's like I'm shifting out of that 99% of the time into something beautiful. I don't want those old feelings inside of me. I want something that's going to help me resonate and be the ripple to others so they can feel my happiness, my joy, my pleasure, my passion. So I try to always remember to go, even when something makes me cranky, It's like, okay, I'm going to honor this for the moment, but then I'm going to release it. And I'm going to go on to being, grateful, happy, and knowing that I get to choose because I'm aware of it.
Yes. I mean, that is the biggest thing in mindset is just being aware of it, right? And we do get to choose, and we can't think of positive and negative thought at the same time. And so when the negative thought comes in, we feel it, process it, and then we shift. It was interesting because I had done so much work on my mind. I'd really made a lot of progress, and I'll never forget it. I'd met Bob Proctor in person. I'd made his inner circle. It was February of 2020. Got back, and what happened in March 2020? Everything shuts down, right? All my speaking gigs got canceled. My contractors were all worried about their business. And so I get in my head, and I'll never forget it because I got on a call with the sales leader at the Procter Gallagher organization at the time. And I was just talking to him. I said, Doug, I don't know what to do for sure. I've done all this work on my mindset and I'm still having these negative thoughts come up. I'm having scarcity. I'm worried about things that I probably shouldn't be worried about. And I'll never forget, he did it in a loving, kind way, but he chuckled at me. And then he said, "You're really cute, Shawn." I said, "What do you mean I'm cute?" And he said, Bob's 87 years old. He's been studying this for 60 years. He still does morning affirmations, gratitude, and an hour of mindset work every single day. Why do you think you can be different? I was like,
oh, he schooled you.
And you think about it though, the negative thoughts, why do they come up? Because it's our mind trying to keep us safe and keep us efficient. So, but also when I feel it, I also just give a gratitude. I literally, I do a logical assessment. Okay, sub, give me this information. And my subconscious saying, be nervous here, be cautious here. And I say, okay, why am I being nervous and cautious here? Because this one time back in 1984, you had this happen. Okay, this isn't true anymore. And thank you for the warning. Thank you for the protection. Thank you for doing your job. And I'm a powerful creator, and I'm going to override that warning and say, I'm not the same. This isn't the same. I'm going to create something better in this situation.
And we all know the 80s were a little crazy. So, we got to factor that into it.
Yes.
Fun.
I don't mean the 80s, the 90s, it's all been a crazy ride. It really has.
Yeah. It's when you bring an awareness to anything like this and you honor it and you start understanding it and you start utilizing it and you look around and once you do it, it becomes easier and easier. And you just want to share it with everyone. You want everyone to bring this into their life. And even I don't understand it 100% because we're not meant to. We just have to have faith and trust and know that it works.
Yeah, I love it. I believe it's in The Secret. I know I've heard Bob Proctor say this a couple of times, but there's a light bulb above me in this office that lights this room. And when I walk in, I can turn the switch on and it turns on. I understand zero about mechanical engineering, about electricity. I don't know how it works, but I know when I flip the switch, the light comes on. And for me, the stuff we're talking about here, the power of my mind, using it within, I don't fully understand all of it, like you said, Nicole, but I do know that it works. And I know that if I wake up and challenge myself to think positive thoughts, I have a better day. I mean, that's the simplest form. It's like if today I'm going through and I know I have a hard day, I've got some challenging things at work or in my personal life, that just is what it is. But how I approach it and how I come into it, that's a conscious decision. And I decide every day. It's funny. I heard a saying years ago, a happy life is just a string of happy moments, and I can choose happy in any moment. And that's kind of what I built, enjoy the ride around was, okay, like right now I'm in scarcity. I want abundance. I can choose abundance right now in this moment. Even if I'm not experiencing it on the outside, I can choose it on the inside. And same saying, an abundant life is just a string of abundant moments, and I can choose abundance in any moment. Gratitude, a grateful life is just a string of grateful moments, and I can choose gratitude in any moment. And each one of us has that power of choice, and it can still be challenging. I mean, it's hard to choose some of those positive feelings when you are in the middle of a real challenging life experience. And, I've been through some myself. I've got a good friend of mine. I'll just share real quickly. Matt Blanchard. He's been a guest on my podcast. He's a good friend of mine. He studies my material. He's actually speaking in San Diego today to a recovery group. The gentleman's been paralyzed 2 different times, you guys. 2006 and 2021, removed from a vehicle, jaws of life. I mean, his story is unbelievable. The fact that from 2006 to 2020, he got to a point where he's going to be able to walk his only daughter down the aisle at her wedding, and then he got hit by a driver again, not his fault. And every time you talk to him, this guy is the most positive, optimistic. Life happens for me, Shawn, not to me. I'm better because of that. I, get up and now he's able to inspire thousands of people with his message. And I don't know, it's just, he chooses happy. He chooses gratefulness. He chooses, and he has he's in physical pain every day of his life. He doesn't wake up. I mean, I got tennis elbow a couple weeks ago from golfing and doing too many push-ups, I think. And I'm like a whiny crybaby every morning. Oh, gosh, my elbow hurts so bad. I'm going to go put some ice. And I think of Matt, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Shawn, shut up. Like, shut up and put your big boy pants on and go to work and be happy and be positive because, again, it's a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I don't know about you, Rachel, but I've got my little notebook here and I'm going to go rewrite my life tonight.
Yes, you guys take the challenge. It's so fun. It's the funnest experience I've ever had to write it down. And then, and I did, and I made a video of me doing it too, which is really fun. And sometimes, especially for where I was, almost humbling or humiliating. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was me. What? I was that. I mean, I looked swollen. You can tell I've been crying. I'm a shell of the man that I'm supposed to be. And writing the letter, stepping into the power of our mindset, it's just been a beautiful, beautiful journey. And, the name of the book that we all share and participate is Change. And I hope I don't butcher this, but Jim Rohn has a quote. I think it's basically this simple. You're not a tree. If you don't like it, move, right? Change it, move it. And it's so true. Whatever we're experiencing at any given time, we have the power and authority to move, to change, to make a decision, and to move in a different direction. And so anybody listening, if you're going through struggle, embrace the challenge, know what's making you stronger, and move, do something different, right? Get outside of your comfort zone. It's so freeing and empowering to do that.
What brilliance comes out of your mouth? And I know you might not think of it that way, but for the listener that has maybe never heard this before or never really understood it or never thought that it could work for them, they need someone like you to tell them. And you put it in, there's no condensation, the condescending attitude. There's no ego. Ego is out of it. And it's just stated as it is what it is. And I love that. I love that.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. I've worked really, really hard to portray it that way and have it come across that way. We call it borrowed belief. And I've been fortunate a couple of times along my journey to have people believe in me when I didn't believe in myself. And sometimes that's what it takes. And so that's my job as a mentor and a disruptor of thoughts is my clients get to borrow my belief. If they don't see it, I get to see it for them. And I get to encourage them and bring it into their experience. And again, I mean, Bob used to say it's by law. It is by law. The second you start believing something better for yourself, you start bringing it towards you, whether it's better health, better wellness, better finances, better relationships. It's just one belief away. And yeah, that is part of my mission. And even if it's not a client, if somebody hears me speak on this podcast or any, type of media that I do, and they think, you know what, this is just a regular guy that went through some life challenges and decided to really believe something different for himself. And by the power of his mind, created everything, everything.
Wow. That's amazing. I'm so grateful that you were on today. It's just, to listen to him, Rachel, he makes it sound so easy.
And again, I don't mean to make it sound easy because it wasn't easy for me. It was a challenge, but it can. That's the other thing too, is I hope I make other people's journey easier than mine. Because I spent, about a 10-year journey. I spent 5 of it beating my head against a brick wall trying to make the changes on the outside. And then I found this, Bob's work and took it to the next level. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so much easier waking up and doing some visualization of what I want my body to look like and feel like and doing some affirmations and then eating better and doing some light workouts. Works so much better than my old program of 5:30 at the gym every day, getting the treadmill, lifting the weights, following the diet. Like that's just so rigorous that it's hard to sustain, and I never got the results. And doing it this way from the inside out, it's more ease and flow and abundance. It just is.
Yeah. I love that you share that because we've been programmed. It has to be hard. Everything has to be hard. But really I say this out loud all the time. It is easy and effortlessly. It is easy and whatever I'm working on, easy and effortlessly. And it's amazing how things go easy and effortlessly. And I'm like, wow, like this is kind of nice.
Yes. I mean, we are programmed so hard that it's difficult that even in those moments, I don't know if you've done this, but when I make it easy in my mind, I make it easy to flow and it starts flowing. And then I wake up and I literally start beating myself up. This is too easy. I should be doing something. Why isn't it harder? Where's the struggle? Where's the challenge, right? My old paradigms are flaring up. And it's like, no, dude, this is what you created. Like, enjoy it. Lean in. And, even after working this level for years, that still comes up sometimes where I'm like, just sit on your back and flow for a minute, man. You deserve this. You earned it. You don't have to work as hard as you used to. But, yeah, it is so true. So true.
What an amazing journey. It's so fun to hear about it. I'm so grateful I came onto this podcast today and got to hear your story. It truly is amazing. What do you say, Rachel? It was easy and effortless. Today, this podcast was easy and effortless. It just flowed beautifully, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for having me on. Thank you two for stepping up and doing this podcast. I do some podcasting myself, hosting, and it's a lot of work. It's a time commitment. You're putting your energy in. So I just want to say thank you for everybody that's listening to this positive message, not just this episode, but every episode that you guys are putting together. You guys are doing amazing things. And, we chatted beforehand. I got to hear a little bit about your stories and how powerful you are. So thank you. The three of us today, I think, created some really cool energy and space. And hopefully listeners got some value and can take it and, reach out to any or all of us if you want some help, because that's what we're here for, right? Yeah.
We are heart-centered leaders and givers.
Yes.
Definitely. I love it.
100%. Any last questions or anything we missed? Because I think we've nailed it. This has been amazing. I really appreciate it.
I think it was fabulous. I learned from Rachel. I've learned from you. And as always, in gratitude, because I'm never going to stop learning. I do know that now. You can never stop learning. There's always something you don't know that you need to know and that I want to know. So I've learned from both of you today. Thank you both.
Thank you. I love that you said that too. I'm always a student, right? I have people call me a teacher. I'm a facilitator. I'm never a teacher because I'm still learning myself. So I'll facilitate. I'll share what I know, but I'm a constant student. And every day I wake up, how can I be better today? How can I be a little bit better today?
Perfect way every morning. What can I do to make that ripple?
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate both of you.
Okay.
Thank you for taking the time and just pouring into the audience and all the people that are also part of the Change series. So we appreciate you for taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm Nicole Harvick and this is my co-host,
Rachel Best. And we look forward to seeing you again next time.